My look at the Mission Impossible franchise continues with 2006's Mission Impossible 3. 6 years have passed between films, and continuing the pattern so far, director J.J. Abrams puts his own unique stamp on the franchise, so let's begin. Been in Medias Res, where Ethan Hunt is being interrogated by Owen Davian, played by the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, over an item known as the Rabbit's Foot. If he doesn't divulge the location, his wife Julia, played by Michelle Monaghan, will die. It's a really tricky setup to get right, but it's an effective one when it works that makes you want to find out more on how we got here. It's also a reminder that Hoffman was an immense talent that was taken from us far too early. 3 minutes in, cue the Fuse credits with Michael Giacchino doing a great arrangement of the theme music. We now begin the story proper at a party with Ethan and Julia. Lots of JJ's frequent cast and crew collaborators are here, including visual effects supervisor Roger Guyett, cinematographer Dan Mindell, co-writers Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi, and character actor Greg Grunberg as a partygoer named Kevin. Also, remembers Ethan's cover about the Department of Transportation and the freeway patterns. It'll be important later. Ethan is given his briefing about Davian via a Kodak single-use camera and is told to make contact with Lindsay Ferris, played by Kerry Russell. Turns out she and Michelle have the same exact birth date. How about that? The next day, Ethan meets Luther for the assignment and the rest of the team. Zen Lei, played by Maggie Q, and Declong Gormley, played by Jonathan Rhys Myers. The team flies off to Berlin, Germany, where there's a lead on Ferris. The ensuing extraction is a great action scene, and for all the heat some give him, especially regarding Star Trek and Star Wars, the director sure has an eye for spectacle. Has learned a lot from his background in television. Ferris is successfully rescued, and I'm glad she's not without agency more than one. It took 3 months of training for these action scenes, and there's more than one kind of adrenaline present here. However, it turns out an explosive charge planted in Ferris' head. Normally the chopper chase would be enough, but it adds another layer of urgency to the scene. The chopper chasing them crashes, but the charge activates, killing Ferris. Ted Brassel, played by Lawrence Fishburne, is displeased at the news, as is John Musgrave, played by Billy Crudup. As Ferris is about to be laid to rest, it's clear that the events at home and abroad, in and out of the universe, fundamentally change how the world works, and the dialogue during the debriefing reflects that. Also, they cover a head-on collision on I-95, which will be important later. After Ferris is buried, Ethan gets a package from a P.O. box in the alias Kelvin, yet another one of JJ's trademarks. Wonder if the Slurpees from 7-Eleven in the earlier scene also have a slusho flavor. Apparently, Kelvin was the name of JJ's grandfather, just sweets. Anyway, the package contains a microdot with an encrypted message, and introduced a character who would become another mainstay of the franchise. Benji Dunn, played by Simon Pegg. Before they set out to find Davian, Ethan asks Julia for her trust. Julia agrees, and before heading off, the two officially marry. After that, there's a lead on Davian in the Vatican City of Rome, along with buyers he's been making arms deals with. Everyone starts infiltrating the city, with Lei rolling up an orange Lamborghini Gallardo. Not only do they 3D print a mask of Davian, they even get the detail of the wine stain on his shirt for the disguise. OxyClean will get that out. Could even add some ink and it'll make it a really tough stain. Davian is captured alongside one of his buyers, who's after the rabbit's foot. He actually planned for this, and Hoffman's range made him an especially effective villain here. Also like the use of the Neil Whitman poem to capture Davian's exact inflections on the voice chip. It used me even more so when I graduated an English major. Lei then blows up the Lambo to serve as a distraction. Certainly works. Even in 2006, sticker price was a minimum 6 figures per options. As Davian is brought back to the mainland, the message from Ferris is deciphered. Turns out Brassel is playing both sides with Davian. Halfway through the film, we get the payoff for the track-related cover stories and we stay on action scene, the highway battle in Virginia. Though minimal CG is applied here, the sequence primarily shot practically with real people and real cars getting wrecked. Definitely adds to the intensity that Tom Cruise was quite literally close to being blown away by the missile launched. Knowing his personal life at the time and since, no fear of that. Taking a G-36 from the truck, he shoots down the drone, but Davian is taken away by his accomplices. Ethan makes a call to his friend Rick, played by pre-Breaking Bad Aaron Paul. How about that? He asks about Julia, and he's told she's still at the hospital. He races there in a Mercedes. Even after the bridge fight, Mendel still gets some great shots of the location of Virginia. Julia is kidnapped to be used as a bargaining chip for Ethan. Davian demands her rabbit's foot within 48 hours in exchange for her life. Not only was Brassel in on the scheme, Musgrave was too. This is one of the most effective installments of the franchise. It really makes every moment and scene count. Though not as much visual information is given in each shot as the first film, it's a close second, especially with how Ethan slipped a knife to escape from his bonds. He makes it out. As able to elude the authorities by using disguise, so he calls his role in the acclaimed drama Born on the 4th of July. His lead on a rabbit's foot is in Shanghai, China. Apparently there's some initial friction about how the city was shown, as there sometimes is, but the censorship board delay gave the green light to film there. Not the first time that happened, nor the last. Anyway, the payload is there, and by Luther's own admission, Langley was a cakewalk compared to this. The plan to take the payload and have it tagged so it can be tracked when Damien claims it. Though he does succeed in taking the payload, the dive has it happen sooner than planned, and lower too. Turns out Lavis was a container full of hazardous materials. We reached the finale, and bringing us back to the scene we started on. Certainly was an eventful 48 hours, to say the least. Anyway, Davian has planted an explosive charge inside Hunt's head, meaning the insane trick from deliberation must be done from before. Thankfully, this time it works, to destroy the charge. I also really like how the editing and use of alternate takes adds another non-linear approach to the story. The way Hunt also has Benji track Davian is how similar to how Scotty would track the USS Vengeance 7 years later, right down the numbers even. I also enjoy how the village and residents worked in the sequence. We close on Davian and Musgrave being defeated, Ethan being granted amnesty for his actions by Brassel, and he and Julie enjoying their honeymoon together for his next assignment. Way to hit the ground running for your first movie, JJ. Though not as big a hit as before, the film still banked a spectral $398 million worldwide on its $150 million budget, with $134 million in the United States alone. I was actually more interested in this at the time than that year's 007 film, Casino Royale. Of course, I now realize both franchises have proven their resilience at adapting their changed cinematic landscape. We'll touch on this more next time. My final rating, 3.5 stars out of 4. My look, the Mission Impossible franchise continues next time with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.